Hello and welcome back to the She Who Dares Wins podcast. And my guests today are Ellie and Lucie. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've got so many questions. But first one, can you tell me how you've dared and won?
Well, I suppose we've dared and won by starting in lockdown, which was a really difficult time. We discovered a new hobby and then we just developed this massive community around it, which hasn't left us since, has it?
Yeah, and we did that through metal detecting.
So you're Roman found.
That's the one.
What was the first thing, like, when did you start digging?
Well, it was literally lockdown. So I think me and Lucy, we both found ourselves trapped, didn't we? We were
In Lincolnshire.
in Lincolnshire. We both hadn't been there for a very long time. I was at uni.
I was in New Zealand.
Growing up on the other side of the world. And then I used to do mudlarking because I went to uni in Plymouth.
Okay.
So we had amazing tidal rivers, beautiful places to find bottles and all that kind of thing. In Lincolnshire, the Romans have canalled all of our waterways. It's very dangerous to do any kind of mudlarking.
What is mudlarking?
So that's when you go into rivers and onto the foreshore and you just look for the objects that have been washed up and left by the tide, essentially.
Ah,
It's just another way of finding historical artefacts.
right.
Although, admittedly, it can be more 19th, 20th century unless you're somewhere like on the River Thames.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a really fascinating hobby, and that's kind of where this kind of like obsession with history started to really, I'd say, germinate. But then I think it was my mum who suggested to me, she was like, why don't you try metal detecting?
Uh-huh.
She was like, it's mudlarking, but on the land. That was her exact words.
And
I've
it was
gotta
sort of,
check it out.
at a time when I think restrictions were starting to lift a little bit and we had the option of like golf, hiking, tennis, metal detecting. So we're like, okay, let's pick
Got to be
one.
that one.
We've got to do metal detecting.
I love how random that is.
I know.
But you were only over for a visit, is that right?
Well, I had planned to sort of move over to Europe and then we went into lockdown like 2 weeks after I arrived in the UK. So really great timing and ended up coming back up to Lincolnshire where all my extended family is.
So the family home
And,
base.
Yeah, I've got dual citizenship. So I was sort of in a position where I could sort of like ride out what happened. And it was sort of like, oh, it's going to be a couple of weeks. And then it just sort of got longer and longer. And
Oh,
I
we all
haven't
thought that.
left.
5 years later, we're here digging.
Still here digging, yeah.
So that first find, you did a little bit before, but finding, what was the first thing you found?
I think we found an 18th century naval button in our granddad's back garden. And then
We were hooked
We were
ever
hooked,
since.
yeah.
And was history a big part of your education? And
No.
that's different. Yeah, I felt like
We
I had
both have design art backgrounds.
we've both done creative degrees. So I did painted drawing and printmaking down in Plymouth, and you did.
I did fashion design
Yeah.
in New Zealand.
I think we really bring the creativity to it. I think that's kind of like the history sparked this. We're like, oh, what can we do with this? We wanted to document it and turn it into something creative. And I think that combined with like the stories we were unlocking just kind of like developed.
Yeah,
an
I think
obsession.
it's all about like storytelling and
Yeah.
finding creative ways to tell the stories of these artifacts that we're uncovering. And I think Instagram was the first platform that we made.
I think Lucy
a
dusted off a
page.
DSLR camera that had been sat in a cupboard for 10 years.
Yeah, I actually got my auntie to bring it back over from New Zealand for
Yeah.
me. So I was like,
amazing.
I've got this, literally had it since high school.
Basically an antique.
Right.
Antique DSLR. And I was like, can you like bring it in the suitcase for me? And I might use it to like photograph finds. And then that was
That
it.
was it.
And we sort of slowly got better cameras and stuff. But finds photography is kind of where it really,
Began.
Ah, okay. So you started with the,
photographing finds, the things that we were
that's cool.
uncovering. Even though the first things that we were finding were very interesting.
But it's this treasure hunt vibe, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're fascinated with that as a kid.
Oh,
it's
yeah, like
definitely
Indiana
a child-
Jones.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we both had that since childhood.
Oh, yeah.
Like this desire to sort of uncover or search and collect objects.
It helps that our family's a bit of a hoarding family as well. So there's
Right.
kind of like this collecting
I think it's
gene
a bit of a
that's, like,
gene, and then
enamoured into
yeah.
us, yeah.
There's a genetic introduction into you will
Oh, yeah.
become.
You should see the houses of all of our families, honestly.
Oh, really?
It's like,
I love that. And you're creating this community. Well, you've created an awesome community. I'm not going to lie. When I think of metal detecting and going and finding treasure and old finds, I think of old guys in a field.
in camouflage.
Yeah.
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 Is that very much the industry? And
I think that's the stereotype.
Right.
It is
There
the
are a lot of
stereotype, yeah.
women in the hobby, and I think, and also a lot of young people too.
Oh, yeah.
I think each year the demographics just getting more broad. But
Yeah.
yeah,
but you're smashing that because do you feel like when you came into the industry that you could see other women like yourselves, or do you think you've created a space that's quite unique?
I think we wanted to create our own space and like our own way of telling our story, and also like giving our perspective.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, it was more about the finds. We were kind of like behind the camera,
I think
and our personality, like who we are, has like come out over the years.
Right.
So we thought, how can we make ourselves like more distinguishable too? Because everyone can share finds.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when we started sort of coming out from behind the camera and sharing a bit more of our
Of our
who we
sex.
are, and also narrating the history. So it's like bringing more of our voice into what we're doing.
Because you do find that there aren't many people who dig like we do.
Mhm.
And when we go to like these metal detecting group digs and these weekenders where we camp, we do stick out a bit.
Yeah.
People look at me and they're like, "Where's your metal detector?" They're like, "Why are you doing it together?"
I don't know if it's a lockdown thing, because we literally started with one detector.
One
Mhm.
machine.
So there was two of us. So it's sort of like, who's going to find the signals? And
And
then
kind of like naturally fell into these roles.
so I find the targets and Ellie digs it.
Yeah.
And then I film while she's unearthing
Excavating.
it. So it's sort of quite tag
That's
team.
good teamwork.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
teamwork.
and it works for us.
Maybe it's a family
But
connection
it's-
as well.
Yeah, because we're cousins. So it's just, yeah, this little team that we have, but it's very unusual. It's sort of not the standard.
It's not the status quo.
Right. So is there a bit of is it controversial that one digs and one
Oh,
finds?
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
think it is
not like
controversial.
bad controversial, but just sort of
It's a bit of banter.
Ahead
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
turner, I
It
think.
is a head turner.
Is that because when you detect, you must then also dig?
I think it comes down to like some detectives can be quite quite authoritative over their finds, and the fact that like we share everything.
Ah.
I think
Yeah,
it's
there's like that people are like, oh, who gets what? It's like,
Who
oh, it's a
gets what?
joint collection.
Yeah,
So it's
and then
just
that kind of
shared.
like blows people's minds
Right.
because you do go out for hours and you get really attached to what you find because you spent so long looking for it.
Mhm.
So I think that idea that then we could find something amazing, and then it's like between both of us. Immediately,
can't
it's
get
kind
over
of like
that.
people can't get over that.
But it's weird. I think sometimes like Ellie does like kind of look after the collection because she is the one that's doing like the recording of the finds and the research.
Right.
But I kind of feel like when I get to photograph it and film it, that's kind of like my moment with the finds,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like I sometimes get more satisfied than getting a really good photograph of one of them. I'm like, that can stay on my like phone screen, you know, or
Forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of like it's quite unusual our setup, isn't it?
It
Quite
is,
a
yeah.
natural fit, though. It sounds like you've both found what-
our side role.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's amazing. So I've got to ask you this from someone as an outside perspective.
Mm.
When you find something, is it yours?
Ooh, well,
It depends,
Yeah.
isn't it? I'd say one of the most important things is the treasure criteria, and understanding like where you sit within the law,
Mhm.
when you find an object.
yeah, because there's obviously the treasure law. So if a find is over 200 years old, has 10% precious metal, that's treasure. If it's one or more coins in one spot that contain 10% precious metal, also treasure. Or if it's a find of national significance, that can also be treasure.
Right.
So you're obligated to report that within 14 days of finding it.
okay.
But then it also comes down to, I think, your relationship with the landowner as well. Because it's someone else's land that you're digging on, that you're trespassing on. No, obviously with permission.
Yeah.
But like, and they get to decide as well what happens with the fines. So there's a lot of like personal relationships that go into it.
Yeah, it's quite complicated. But
Yeah.
like usually, say if a find has to go through the treasure process, and that's in the hands of, like
The British Museum, your local museum, they might want to acquire it.
they've
might
got to
want buy
decide
it.
if they want to acquire it. And in
Right.
that case, then it's usually a 50-50 split between the finder and the landowner.
Oh, okay, so that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting. So it's not just going out and finding things. You've got to be aware of the law.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a process in approaching the landowner,
Yeah.
having a relationship there. is there any friction with other people that want to go to the same spot? Like, is it territorial?
I think there can be like a slight element of that because it is getting more popular.
Getting a permission is really
but it is
hard.
hard.
Is it?
Yeah.
You need to have
Tweet these levels.
really good.
Just slightly. There you go.
Um,
Go on. Sorry. Is
Okay.
there is there territorial or kind of a permission thing?
I'd say a little bit like it is
Yeah.
a popular hobby, and people do want to get on to like farms, land, but it really comes down to your relationship with the landowner, the farmer.
Oh yeah, like we're besties with our landowner,
That's cool.
but like we've grown this relationship over years,
Yeah.
and like it really is about nurturing trust. I
Okay.
think trust is the most important thing. You show you're reliable and you're trustworthy, and you're not going to do any dodgy dealings behind their back, and then you just get a friend at the end of the day. We pop in and have cups of tea with ours after a
That's
do.
amazing.
Yeah.
And how do you know where to go? Like, do you guys have to do some research?
I think being based in Lincolnshire, we're really lucky with history. Like we have such a broad, like range of periods that we usually find sort of items within. So we're
Yeah.
quite lucky, aren't we, that where we generally dig was like bound to be something that comes up.
I think doing research is a bit of a double-edged sword because you can do all this research and you'll find like this amazing land which got a Roman settlement on it, and you're like, oh my god, there'll be so many finds there, and then the farm owner will say no, you can't dig on it. So I think you need to get the permission first,
Yeah.
and then do the research afterwards.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just kind of like teasing yourself
Yeah.
with all this stuff that's out there that you can't get onto.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and we've found that our permission has unlocked more doors with us with neighbouring farms, or like neighbouring permissions.
Right.
So once you get in with one, then you need to kind of use that as
To
your
get in.
gateway to build trust with other people
But then
and get in there.
I think our approach of like searching as well, like we don't tend to do a lot of research. It's actually the research comes from us
Yeah,
Find it.
detecting and finding and sort of learning where finds come up because sometimes it can be quite like surprising
oh yeah.
where you like find things and you're like, I wasn't expecting to find anything like that. there.
What's the go on then? What's the most surprising find you've had?
I say it's got
Oh.
to be the Iron Age coin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like we'd had an awful day, really awful day. I think we found one button. We've been out for about 8 hours, and we were really quite far out in our mission's quite large. We were quite far out on the fringes of it in this place where we'd really not found anything. And then we were like, oh, we'll just try this other field, but like there's not going to be anything in it. And we were literally on the verge of throwing in the towel when like Lucy gets this cracking signal.
Yeah, and then we found like this really special coin. So, I mean, you get like it's like the outliers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like there's always outlier finds, and you can't research that. You
Yeah.
kind of have to just get a feel for the land you're detecting. Like, I think for me, it's sort of like reading the landscape in person and sort of like where I'm drawn to, like what parts of the field interest me that I want to look at. And sometimes that's going where you wouldn't normally go.
Is that a little bit of a sixth sense?
I think
yeah,
so, definitely.
Lucy's got this innate ability to predict things sometimes.
I love how this is really is embedded
Yeah.
into genes.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, fully. And yeah, I think I'd say most times we go out detecting, that's something that happens to me or I experience, and I just get like a feeling to have a look at a particular spot. And usually it's something comes up pretty
We've
special.
done it on our permission. We've done it on group digs where like Lucy's never seen the fields or the lands before, and it's like it's quite crazy.
I
isn't
think
it?
one of our craziest stories in that regard was we were at Detectival,
Yeah.
and it was on the last day, and we were in this field. We were finding a bit of medieval stuff,
Mhm.
and we thought, oh, we'll just stay here. We're quite enjoying it. And then we were just detecting away, and then we could see these two guys spotted us.
They spotted us from a distance. We were like, oh, we've been
distance, and we're
spotted.
like, oh, okay. I think they're going
Someone's
to
come and chat
say
with us.
hello. So I just got this amazing signal. Like, I think it was like the best signal I'd heard of the day. And I was like, oh, so good, but we're going to have to wait.
Because if we wanted to film it and then they'd come and they'd talk to us, and they'd
Right,
interrupt the
yeah, it's
film,
gonna
we're
mess
like,
up.
Okay,
"Just
so-
wait for them to come.
I'll just sort of swing my detector over. I could just
Just
hear
stood
it in my
out there.
headphones. I stood on it. I could just hear just like beeping away, and these guys
Like,
came
protecting it.
and chatted to us for like 20 minutes or so, and we were just talking about
Oh, we had a
detecting
great
and
chat,
finds.
yeah.
We were just having a good yarn. And then like, what do you really want to find? And then we said,
Without like a single question,
out the blue, I was like, I really want to find
you were like a hammered groat.
a hammered groat. I really-
What's that?
So that's like quite a high value medieval Tudor coin.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
never found one before. We found a half groat, but we're like, we'd love to find a groat. It's a very like specific type of coin from a period of history. And I was just like, finally we said goodbye, and I was like, oh, I can.
They potted off.
And I was like, oh, I've just been checking that signals there like the whole time of this conversation because I didn't want to lose it. You know.
Were you equally worried about them stealing it?
No, no,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no.
okay.
This was my fine. I was not moving. But I could have easily forgotten about it, you know, because we were having like this quite big conversation. So I thought, okay, we better dig this because I've been like standing on this for like half an hour. And then we got round to excavating it and it was a groat,
Hammered groat.
hammered groat.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't write that.
No, you can't write that. It was insane.
So crazy. And yeah, it was like
It was a Henry VIII hammered groat, but it was minted in Henry VIII's name posthumously under his son Edward. So it was like
it
a
was
really
fascinating coin.
incredible history behind it.
Yeah. So it was it's probably like it's a highlight, that coin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like Henry VIII have like, it's such like even though it's awful, like quite an iconic monarch. So,
Yeah,
one you always learn about in
it's
school,
special,
isn't
it's a special
Yeah.
one to find.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was like, I put it out into the universe, I really want a groat. And then was
The
standing,
universe brought it back.
literally
That's-
standing on top of one.
That's amazing.
So yeah, stuff like that happens all the time.
All
doesn't
the
it?
time.
Oh, how from a previous digger, how deep are we talking for finds? Like, how deep does the metal detector go? How wide? Like, when will you pick up?
I'd say like a detector goes like a couple feet, but we're not digging that deep, to be honest. I'd say a lot of the
Yeah.
time it's sort of in the top
300 of
30 centimeters.
You'd be surprised
how
how
shallow.
shallow things are.
And even on the surface, because we're digging on arable, a lot of the time it's like ploughed. So a lot of finds just being.
That's just a
brought
good
up.
point, yeah, because if they're going deep enough, technically that
Oh, yeah.
300's going to be easily.
It's all mixed together. It's all jumbled together. It's like a washing machine of
So
finds and history.
a lot of
basically.
farmers are sat probably on a lot of
Oh yeah,
finds.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like part of like where metal detecting can come in to like preserve and save some of these finds
Yeah.
that are getting like ultimately they do get damaged by the plough. It's just part of the process.
Right.
So it's good that we can come in and sort of retrieve the finds that are just getting
Churned.
churned out. Yeah.
Because it's like we've had it several times where we found an artifact that's been broken in two, and we found both halves of the artifact,
Ah,
like just scattered meters across the field.
right.
And then we're like, oh my god, we can like reunite this artifact back together. But
Yeah,
like that
that's
would
really
just
special
get
when that
gradually
happens.
smaller and smaller as time progressed, and more bits got chipped off it. And
Ah.
yeah,
And when you do the digging,
I do the digging.
how's the digging done? Because I'm imagining like archaeological digs where it's with a tiny
Little brush, little
yeah.
scrapey.
Is it that, or are you allowed to just hail in there with a big spade?
Wow. We do hail in there with a big spade, but it's a targeted. The metal detector's got a pinpointer on it, so Lucy's able to narrow it down to about the area of a coil.
Oh, okay. So it's
So we know that the artifact will be in that area.
Right.
So then obviously we dig around it, and then once you flip the clod out, you determine whether it's in the clod or in the earth.
So is the clod
The clod is the earth that gets removed
okay?
from the hole.
I think
Love
it's
all
got
this
different-
technology.
it's got
Some metal
different-
detecting
It's
term.
got
Yes.
different names throughout the country, I think. Have
Oh,
a few
right.
different names for
Okay.
that bit.
There's always a northern southern divide
Yeah,
and stuff.
there is.
Yeah.
We call it the clod.
Yeah.
And then, but then, I mean, I generally dig. I try to, if I have an idea of what the artifact is, like if I think it might be a coin, I try and dig around it
Right.
to try and flick it out in it, so then it's easier to break the mud apart from it.
Okay.
You have to be quite careful. You can't just go
You can't go
whacking things in
don't
there.
know.
Yeah.
And hope.
You just don't want to damage something.
Oh,
No,
my
I think that's-
biggest fear is
yeah.
damaging something,
Yeah.
like especially something that's been in the ground for hundreds of years.
Do you find so obviously coins are metal?
Yeah.
Have you ever found you're obviously using the metal detector coins, but then have come across an array of things that wouldn't necessarily have been discovered, like pots or
Yeah, you often
yeah.
see a lot of pottery, just sort of
I think-
sherds.
It's important to be aware of what's going on in the vicinity and what's around you.
Because that's a good way to like identify activity, is looking for things like pottery and stuff like
yeah.
that.
We've had it on group digs before where we've spotted pottery and we've been like, oh, this is Roman greyware here. We're going to have a little concentrate in this area. And then we've started finding Roman coins. So, like I think the pottery, we're also fascinated. We can't help ourselves picking it up. I've got bags of pottery at home.
So it's hard to think back, isn't it, in history of why are there so many coins?
Yeah.
Do people just lose money all the time? And why do we think that coins are everywhere?
I think it is, there's a lot of people losing money. There's also people burying money in times of conflict and times of uncertainty.
Oh, so like a nest egg they'd bury.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the hoards. And
Yeah.
things
Like
like that.
here in Britain, we've got more Roman hoards than anywhere else in the empire. And that's because of the crisis of the 3rd and the 4th century, where the Roman Empire was really going at it. And like here in Britain, we were so on the outskirts that like we were quite affected by it. And people were just burying money like crazy because the Romans at one point just upped and left us. And they didn't know whether the Romans were coming back or if that was it. So, if you think about your family, think about your safety and your longevity, and you've got all of this Roman silver and they've just upped and gone.
Yeah.
So you just bury it in the ground for safekeeping.
And is it predominantly silver?
It's a mixture, really. You can
I'd say
get
more-
bronze hoards as well.
Yeah, but I'd say predominantly.
Predominantly
I'd
precious
say-
metals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gold?
Yeah, gold, silver.
More rare, but
More rare,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
you do get that, yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
This is such a awesome things I get to like fangirl on an area that I just have zero knowledge on. How did friends and family perceive? I know you say your family's quite creative and it's kind of in the blood
Yeah.
a little bit,
Mhm.
but what was their opinion when you started doing this?
Ooh, I feel like that's an interesting one. I don't know if they hate it. Feel like-
It's an odd one. If I went
Yeah.
home to my mom and was like, "Oh, so you know what? I'm now gonna start, doing this thing." I've done some crazy stuff in my life, but I think she'd be like,
yeah, well,
At the end of the day, like everyone's really supportive, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
do like to make fun of us.
yeah, we are. Yeah, we
Oh,
are made fun of,
really?
yeah. I think for my fiance, I think in the beginning when we first started dating, it was all cool and interesting, and now it's like, oh yeah, you've been out. What have you found? Oh, another Roman coin. Oh, that's nice. Oh, another thing to go in our cabinet. More clutter for the house.
So it's kind of putting up with the hobby that is.
No, I think she puts up with a lot.
I think every metal detectorist partner has to put up with a lot.
Oh
don't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
It's sort of like it's a funny hobby like that, isn't
Wait,
it?
I'm guessing it's a real lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It can take over.
It certainly takes over my life.
How much digging are we doing? How much finding are we doing? Are we out on a daily basis?
We
or?
try to go out weekly.
Yeah, we try to go out once a
That's
week.
Sort of
Yeah.
the standard, but not always.
Are we fair
If
weather,
we could, we'd
or
go
are
out all
we?
the time.
It doesn't matter for us.
Yeah,
by
it's
the way. We go
cool.
out in rain,
yeah,
snow.
You're hardcore. I love it.
It's
Yeah.
hardcore, and I think people don't think of that side of it sometimes. It's like it's a very outdoors hobby,
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
like very outdoorsy. Like
The wind sometimes can be really light. Sometimes we get in the car and it's like the first time we've been in shelter all day, and we'll both just be like mute, like ears ringing, and I'm like, have
Like,
we
didn't
really
realise
been
how-
enduring this all
I
day?
didn't
Like,
realize how cold it was.
yeah,
That
Lucy
shows
become
just
like-
how in the moment you are.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't really think about the weather too much when you're in it.
You can ignore a lot when you're in it. Like, I remember once we were in our favourite Roman field, and like the weather just turned, didn't it?
Yeah,
And it was like it started hailing, and then it turned into like the torrentialest downpour that you've ever seen in your life.
there was
where
like a
we
mini flash flood.
were immediately drenched to the bone. A river appeared flowing through the field in front of us, and then like Lucy just plucks this like beautiful decorated Samian ware fragment from the ground, and we're like, we can't leave, but it's so obscene.
Our phones, like our equipment, was like not working properly because it was just
Yeah.
getting too wet. It was
Eventually, we
just,
had to leave because like Lucy's phone was about to give up the ghost. It was
I
like
couldn't charge it because it was too
it was
wet.
like
It
water
was
is water's detected.
yeah, it was not good. But it's so much fun that like we'll generally have so much fun when it's like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And this community that you've built, what I love is that you didn't just decide to do this, not in secret, but you are recording and you're sharing these stories because there are so many other people around the world that are really interested.
oh yeah.
It is like watching a live treasure hunt.
It is, and I think we're really lucky here in Britain that, for one, we're allowed to do it,
Mhm.
and for two, that we have got history which stretches back thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like, we can find such incredible, and it's metal history as well.
Yeah.
Because places are all around the world have history that stretches back thousands of years, but it's not all metal history. And stone tools are a lot harder to find. There's no stone metal detector out there.
That's it. You're kind of governed by the equipment that's
Yeah.
out there, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated by that. I fly a drone. I used to fly a drone. Well, I still fly a drone commercially
Yeah.
for on landfills, and actually some pretty cool things
Oh, I
on
bet there's
landfill.
cool things.
Yeah, I found well, not me personally, but there was a landfill site down in Oxford where there's a dinosaur print,
Oh,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if I found anything else whilst digging. Yeah, there has been a few times where we've come across and had to stop a dig. It's quite common, actually, I think, these days,
Yeah.
that they have to bring in.
I don't think you can dig anywhere in the country without bringing up something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some random things. Yeah, which is pretty cool. But you've created this community because you're sharing what you're doing.
yeah.
So you're also putting yourself out there, which you say the perception from family and friends was a little bit. Putting yourself out there is a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for me as well, like I come from like a fashion background, it's like just like a polar opposite world. So there was like a little thought like, oh, how am I going to be perceived? Like doing this really quite random hobby, like
In a field covered in mud.
on the internet,
Yeah,
like on social media. But I think you just kind of have to just like let it go and just like
Well, I remember
just do what if you're enjoying it, just like who cares?
Yeah.
I remember us like trying to record our first ever TikTok video, and we were trying to do like a dance jump transition. And I remember it just being like and we were both trying to like grapple with like being on camera, not worrying about anyone else thinks. And like, but I think as soon as we started doing YouTube and as soon as we started putting ourselves behind the camera, that just kind of opened up a whole new world, didn't it?
Yeah, I think we've like grown more confident in like presenting ourselves and like learning scripts and things like that too, because we share the history and we've got more into sharing like the wider context of like our finds and like what's going on in that time period of and making videos around that. So we've had to get into doing more writing in terms of like what we're going to be saying on camera because it needs to be.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You can't wing it,
you
really, can
can't,
you?
no,
You can't be
you
like, oh, I found this coin and it's from wherever, because there'll be someone.
there'll be someone in the comments who knows exactly where it's from. They'll know that you're wrong.
So I love that you have to go in depth. And there's so much to it then. There's a storytelling of where it's come
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
There's a storytelling of how you found it and then where it's going to go. I'm guessing
Yeah.
people are going to ask that.
Mm.
What's your favourite part of that process?
That's a difficult one. I mean, easily is the finding. The finding is always
You do enjoy the
amazing
research
part.
though.
Yeah, I was going to say the research for me can be equally as exciting.
Yeah.
Because you
You-
find it and you might not know much about it, and then suddenly you'll discover this whole story behind it, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, there's so much,
It's so much more to it
so
than
much
just.
more to it." Yeah,
You can go down some real rabbit holes. And I think like sometimes it's the least suspecting finds, so the most like relatable or people enjoy. So for example,
The
we
pigeon
found
ring.
a pigeon ring.
yeah.
And we both knew exactly what it was. So we did this YouTube episode and it had like we found a Roman coin
Oh,
in
yeah.
it. Like there was some
And
good
it was,
like
it was a good
history.
Roman coin. It was the Romulus and Remus coin.
I think we had a medieval buckle.
Oh yeah,
And then we found this pigeon ring like at the end of the day. And Ellie went into the history of that. It was like
I've done this deep dive into like racing pigeons and like
So
homing
it's what they
pigeons
get
in the
clipped
wall.
with.
Yeah, it's what they
yeah, on their little
Right.
ankles. And then that is what people loved.
That was all the comments.
That was all the comments was about the pigeon ring. It's like, who cares about the Roman coin or the medieval buckle? It's like, we want to know more about the pigeon.
They were like, "Tell us more pigeon history."
I love the internet for that.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it's this complete curveball of like who's watching and what questions they have is more important than what you perceive.
But I think that's one of the
what-
wonderful things about some of the more modern finds is that because it's more modern, there's more of a written record. So
Mhm.
you can get a bit more deeper into that story.
Okay.
You can get quite close to even the person who it had come from.
But-
Sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think we've got to give credit to Ellie's like research abilities because
Obsessive.
we
nature.
do find sort of similar objects often because, like, for example, buckles are a really common find. So
Yeah.
Ellie's ability to find new stories or new pieces of information about these objects and write a script for it. Like, you know, it's
Maybe
quite
that's the creativity. Sometimes I just have to
Yeah.
think, what angle can I approach this from?
Yeah.
outside the box,
Yeah.
really, of how to share these items in a new way each time we find sort of maybe something that's similar.
Yeah. That's what I think is a bit of a superpower, which you often overlook as a creator, is you've got this job or this hobby that then needs to be merged with the world of social media.
Yeah.
But it allows you to be creative, doesn't it? And you said that's kind of your background.
Yeah.
So your parents also have got quite you're in a creative world with their business.
Yeah. Well, me and Lucie,
Wow.
we
We don't only dig together, we also work together.
can't get away from each other during the week.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. Tell us about the family business. I'm intrigued.
So my parents, it's quite interesting actually. My parents, they make handmade wallpaper here in Britain.
Okay.
So it's like, it also has history in it.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the 16th century when we first started making wallpaper, and it's proper hand block printed, you know, your high end stuff for your luxury interior design market. And but yeah, it's a proper family business. We're even called Bruce Fine Paper, so it's got our last name in it. There's only about 7 of us.
Yeah.
And I think
A few different family members as well.
majority of us are family.
Yeah.
But I imagine these wallpapers, do they get sold all over the world? Like, is it?
Yeah, they've got a lot go to US actually.
Ah.
The US love block printing. It's like as much as they love metal setting, I think.
Yeah.
And is handmade wallpaper a dying trade over here? As in, like, is it unique that you guys do that?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. There's not many people left that still do it.
It's
Like-
on the endangered list, isn't it?
It's on the red list for endangered crafts. Yeah,
Oh, there's an endangered there.
there's
you
an
go, you
endangered
learned
crafts a
something.
list for everything.
Yeah.
But I think we're one of very few companies that still do it, and I think we're one of very few small companies as well, because we are a small family business.
Yeah. How much do you think your family has nurtured you going into this?
A lot.
Yeah.
We would
I
be
think
lost without them, I think.
Yeah, I think like both our parents in different ways are like creative, like entrepreneurial. So I think that's definitely like
Oh yeah, and they
influenced us a
Yeah.
lot.
they never tell us we can't do anything either.
Yeah.
If there's ever
that's
been anything I wanted to
thank you.
do, we'll take you to that swimming class. We'll get you clarinet lessons.
Right.
Like, you go ahead, you do it, and we'll be there supporting you every step of the way, basically.
That's actually what I want to touch on. The younger versions of yourselves,
Yes,
Mm.
would they have foreseen this?
definitely not.
No.
Tell me what you wanted to be when you were younger.
Oh, actually, that is.
Yeah,
I think we both wanted to be like
I wanted to be-
archaeologists or
come
paleontologists.
on,
I wanted
yeah,
to be a
we were
paleontologist.
pretty close.
Yeah,
Like, I'm thinking like under 10, I was really into like archaeology.
Okay.
And then I think my creativity came through more. Then I got really interested in fashion. So I kind of like channeled into that. I think I sort of, transferred interests, passion. And then it's weird how it's come back
yeah.
Yeah.
to like that real early childhood kind of like interest.
I was obsessed with dinosaurs.
Right.
I wanted
Okay.
to be a paleontologist. I wanted to be in like far out digging up dinosaurs. That was what I wanted to do. Jurassic Park, all of that. That's what I was into. And then art happened, and I just discovered art and discovered my love for that. My art was quite inspired by history. It was very like urban decay and rust and all of that. But I think it was lockdown really that was the pivot, because I'd already started looking at history in my art. My mudlarking finds were starting to inform my artistic direction. But then in lockdown, the artistic industry suffered so much in lockdown.
Yeah.
It's the same with fashion as well. It was sort
Yeah.
of like a very difficult time.
And like the course I'd planned for my life couldn't happen, because I wanted to go and do an MA in London, focus on printmaking, start selling prints and become an artist. But then it was like, well, I can't do an MA in a practical course online.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, that was it. My parents immediately took that opportunity and swept me into the family business.
Yeah.
But that works out nice, isn't it? It's nice how things come full circle.
Yeah.
Like you've got the support of having a job, in a business that's established and working well, and it allows you to then go out and do what you want to
and
do.
it does give us a little bit of flexibility.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Ellie's mum is so amazing. with
Accommodating.
that.
You just like, see ya, I'm not printing today. I'm.
Oh, this things come up. Do you mind if we like swap days? Is that okay? Like
Mum's already written the schedule for the week. She's like, Ellie.
That's lovely though.
Yeah.
And I think it's some things that people grapple with. But now I see it, and you guys probably know it. It looks very much like this is going to become a beast for you that, you know, might potentially draw you away from the business at some point. Is
Potentially.
that the dream?
It's a difficult
It's a
one,
difficult
isn't it?
one.
Because I think we'd love doing both.
Yeah, because we've recently discovered so much, because we do the social media for Bruce Fan Papers, and we've really gotten deep into the wallpaper history. Like, you talk about metal detecting being a niche, you should hear about the wallpaper history. Like, we've gotten so deep into that niche, and it's so fascinating. And we've been visiting old projects and documenting the work that we've done for these heritage properties, restoring wallpaper.
But we wouldn't have been able to do that if we hadn't done Roman Found.
Yeah,
You know, it sort of really influenced
Each other.
each other. So it's an interesting balance of these two different worlds, but
they're so interconnected.
they have that heritage history overlap, which is quite nice. But then I think I'm the kind of person that I really enjoy having lots of different projects going on, different interests to keep me like going. I kind of like a lot going on.
And have you found your tribe? Because you talk about the community, and you say that there's lots of people out there doing it, and there's lots of people obviously watching you. How has that been? Have people been drawn into your story, and is it been cool getting that?
We've got such a great crew, don't we?
Oh, we do have a great crew. I think what's been shocking is every year there's this thing called Detectable, which is, as you imagine, a detecting festival.
I love it. I love the name.
It's like 3 days in a field, like 1,000 acres, like thousands of detectorists, and it's just like a big digging, drinking, camping,
food,
everything.
Fire pit, magic teapot.
It's your people, basically.
It's your people,
yeah.
Right?
That's where we see everyone.
Fun.
We have the best time.
But
there.
each year we kind of like bring more people into it, like
and I think,
that aren't detectorists.
Oh, right. So you're finding people that have never done it
yeah.
before. It's not a thing that you would try.
We're recruiting people,
Right?
we recruit
Because there's a lot of land to cover, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's not. I would never ever think. My little one actually, he did ask for a metal detector one Christmas. I think they sell one in Smith's. I don't. It's probably horrendous, but he was like, he loves treasure and gems.
Oh yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah, and as a kid, I don't think I ever saw anyone doing it, and that's probably why.
Yeah,
I think that's a huge part of it, isn't it?
It's become massive recently.
I think with social media and stuff, it's become more like, and also there's a lot in the news. I think amazing discoveries being made all the time, so it is getting more like media coverage.
Yeah.
So I think it is just becoming a bit more like, I wouldn't say mainstream yet, but it's definitely more in the like the conscience.
When you can see it, like you say, if you follow people.
Yeah, I think the Detectorists, the shows, had a huge.
Oh yeah,
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 it was,
and that's an amazing show, and people always ask us like, "Well, what do you think of it?" And it is so like
true.
accurate. It's so
was
true.
that Tony?
Yeah,
Robin. Yeah. Oh, he was huge in the 90s.
Oh, that's Time Team.
Oh, that's Time Team. Yeah, Time Team.
That as well is like.
Yeah.
Oh, I grew up on Time Team.
Yeah.
I think all detectorists love watching Time Team.
Yeah.
But yeah, the show The Detectorists sort of gave an insight into the community, I think, and like what is metal detecting.
Because it really is the best community.
Right.
But I think one shocking thing for us with the social media is that going to Detectable is that we're more noticed each year. And I think that's something that really we didn't expect.
You're becoming like the celebrities of...
Oh, I wouldn't say celebrity. No. But like it really wouldn't expect. It's not something that we ever thought would come out of it. But like...
Is that something you're coping well with? Because it's hard, isn't it? When you put yourself out there because you want other people to enjoy what you do, but you don't always, it's like they say with celebrities and actors, they don't necessarily sign up for what comes with that. Has that been quite an easy, nice transition for you?
I suppose it's something that we never thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never even crossed my mind when we started doing this. But at the end of the day, it just gives us more people to chat to and have a yarn with at Detectable.
Yeah.
Which really is the best thing.
Yeah.
And then I think as well, like from a social media perspective, like having people commenting on things and sort of having that sort of, what would you call it? Like a... looking,
An insight.
Yeah.
I mean, dealing with that has probably been harder, but we're kind of like gotten used to it now.
Is it in that you've got die-hard fans that know stuff?
You've got such a crossover of
history.
You've got
academics, enthusiasts, archaeologists.
Oh wow, because you've got the academics thrown in.
Yeah, so it's all
and we aren't academics, and we've never claimed to be.
Yeah.
So you've got like a lot of different opinions
Yeah.
within the subject.
Especially because I feel like history is very subjective, and history, at the end of the day, history is just an interpretation of things.
Yeah.
So your interpretation might be different to other people's interpretation. They might not like it if it sits outside the status quo. So it's like,
Interesting.
it's interesting what stories the finds reveal to us, and then how people take those stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
That
you can
makes sense.
post something like a video and you never really know like what people are going to like draw
Infer
from
from
that,
it.
or like what, you can think, oh, that's going to, not be controversial at all. And then you
Suddenly it's
and
like,
then,
oh God.
and then it's upset
Apparently,
someone,
isn't it?
and then you get controversial comments, and it's sort of like dealing with that. So sometimes it can like take you off guard a little bit. But
Do you ever get people that are against what you do? As in,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
as in, it should just be left there, and you guys shouldn't be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
it's more people not understanding like the laws that are in place in the UK, because I
Right.
think we're quite lucky here that we do have like the
The
treasure
laws.
laws.
We've
Yeah.
got portable antiquities scheme.
Yeah.
We've got everything. We've got fines layers and officers for each county who deal with all of the fines. It's
So
all
you're not just
recorded.
freewheeling. So there is. That's quite nice knowing that that's sat behind you, and that
Yeah.
it's
But
full
I
on
think
legit.
it's the education of that. I think a lot of people don't know all about that stuff.
They
And
just think you're out in a
social media is
field.
international.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah.
So what? How different is it in then America and Europe? You can't.
I think every country is different
Every
in
country's
Europe.
different. Yeah.
Right.
So you get like so many different crossovers of laws, or it being in some countries completely illegal.
Yeah.
So
Completely illegal to even own a metal detector in some countries.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
wonder why.
so it's really quite like hard to navigate this topic within such a broad
Yeah,
spectrum.
community.
Some-
of
Some countries see it as stealing from the state.
Oh,
So they have this idea that the state owns everything in the land.
right.
Similar to how there's this idea that the landowner owns everything in their land,
Yeah,
even though it's history that stretches back thousands of years and isn't owned by anyone.
would have known that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, there's just like all these different, I think, it's different countries' perspectives on things.
That's fascinating.
So we have to deal with that
Navigate that.
within our very legal space of detecting in the UK.
Yeah.
So you do have these voices from other people from countries where it might be a completely different view of the hobby. So I think that's quite interesting, sort of knowing how to like sometimes like educate people of like
Yeah.
how we do things here, and like what we do as well. We record the majority of our finds, not just important finds like treasure finds. So we also record the data for
Everything.
buckles or like everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of it's just like education, I think.
There's a lot behind the scenes that some people, I would guess, don't appreciate.
Yeah.
Well, it's not seen and people don't realise what happens.
Right.
But like I read a lot of archaeological reports and people's theses, and it's always like I was just reading one about girdle hangers on the way here, and they're talking about how this little known artifact that they don't really know about it. And then it's like, so many have come from grave sites, 300 have come from metal detectorists. So it's like, there's a lot of metal detecting finds which are opening up new possibilities of exploration for archaeologists,
Yeah,
because it's data that they can use.
exactly. And you have
Yeah.
a database of that. It's only going to extend
Yeah.
out.
And yeah, the national database is accessible by the public,
Yeah.
but then archaeologists, historians kind of can get like deeper layers of
Yeah.
the data, which is
Right.
publicly available. So it's just like a huge resource, and metal detectorists are contributing a huge amount of finds to that.
Yeah.
Cool. And I've got to ask this question. It came from a friend of mine.
Okay.
She talked about, I think she read something in a paper about how women from history aren't represented as much through finds. It's always kind of brought back to men. How true is that?
That's actually quite topical for us, isn't it? Because we've just been planning our next newsletter that we do every week on Substack, and it's all about women through history that we've found in our finds. And I think picking finds, it was actually quite difficult, because there's a lot of times like fashion in the medieval period can be quite unisex. Like buckles were used by both,
Right.
strap ends were used by both, lace chapes were used by both. There's nothing really that screams women, if
Right.
that makes sense. And you can get that quite a few times throughout history.
Say with jewellery, would jewellery have been worn, like crosses or anything like that?
Would have been.
But I think it's also as well quite, again, unisex, unless it's like
Yeah.
a really like, probably more like Tudor. I think
Ornate.
it's saying Tudor, it gets a bit more like ornate, and
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
fashion's being a bit more defined then.
Yeah.
But
I
we
think-
don't find a lot of jewelry.
We don't.
I know everyone's thinking metal detecting. I bet there's people going, just ask them if they've found any diamond rings or if they've
Not found what?
wedding rings. Or I think that's like a beach thing, is it?
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
these
Beach
people on
detecting.
beaches,
detecting.
and that I guess would be annoying. Maybe not if they find someone's long lost ring. Great.
Yeah.
But just on that, what's the most random thing you found?
Well, what's the randomest?
There's been so many things. I feel like everything we find is random.
What was like? What would you say is like the weirdest random?
Weirdest random find. Oh, I don't know. It's like, well, would you say the World War II tail fin that came up at the Rodney Cook rally?
Oh, a mortar
Ooh,
The
tail.
mortar tail.
That's
Yeah,
kinda
that
cool.
was quite random. Bit
That-
scary, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucy left me.
So it's like mortar tail
Sticking out the ground.
Like,
Didn't
I'm
know if it
gonna
was
give-
attached to anything. Lucy was like,
I'll give
just
you.
gonna
I'll
bit
give
of
you
a
some
burst.
space when
Because
you dig
people
that.
find World
Oh,
War II
yeah.
bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've not luckily yet.
Touch wood.
Just a tail.
And wasn't something to do with Richard? I'm really bad with my history.
Richard the Third.
Leicester in a McDonald's car park.
Yeah, his body.
Yeah.
Oh, his body.
Yes.
Mm.
Should have known
His
that.
long lost burial.
And that's fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
Would someone have found that with a metal detector, or was that a
No, that
No.
was through the
fiction dig?
dedicated search of one woman.
Was
It
it?
was like a lifelong search. It was. Yeah, there's a great film about it.
Oh, I need to see
yeah,
this.
yeah. No, it's honestly really fascinating because his body was obviously lost. They didn't know where it was from, and it was like became a bit of a passion for this lady, and she actually helped find it.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
In a McDonald's as well. It was a McDonald's car park, wasn't it?
I
Or
think
have I
it was just
missed-
a car.
It
I
was
think
definitely
Was it
a
just
car.
car park?
Yeah, definitely a car park.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
There was a bit of intuition there as
Yeah,
well. She had a
Yeah.
feeling to look there.
She had a vibe.
Should have. Yeah. I'm very interested in that whole world of this
Underlying intuition.
yeah,
it's
it's-
sense.
I think
Yeah.
that's like not talked about often either, because it's a little bit like left field, isn't it?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
There are people that will probably link it to the same of finding ghosts or things.
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
sort of-
more than that. It's something you can actually physically touch.
I think it's
isn't it?
quite, for me, like it's quite intuitive as
Mm.
well. But then these thoughts like pop up, and I'm just like,
Well,
no, I just got to go with it and see what happens.
Is there a process to your find? So, for example, when I fly a drone to pick up the land and to do a survey, I have to obviously fly the drone in a certain way, which is basically like a lawnmower,
Oh, yeah,
backwards and
yeah,
forwards, so you
yeah.
don't miss anything because
Yeah.
I do it through photogrammetry.
Mm.
Is that the same? Because if you're swinging, you don't want to miss an area because if a coin is so small.
well, I suppose our approach is probably not the approach that most detectorists would
No.
preach.
So you can do like there's this
Gridding.
thing called gridding,
Grid, yeah,
where you grid.
right.
I wouldn't do that unless I've like got like a hotspot, like lots of finds are coming up, or we've found something really significant. I'll do some gridding,
Right.
but that's quite boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we find it
So you just do random. I love
Yeah,
this.
like, I
so
just
my
go for
style.
a
go
walk.
with the vibe.
Go-
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. You just like over there, maybe.
You know, we're out in this field to have a nice time. We're not out
Yeah.
here to do regimented lines.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, let's walk over there. That looks
We're like,
nice
look,
over
look
there.
There's a pheasant over there. Let's go see that one. But that's how we find some of our finds. That's how we discover these hotspots.
Right.
I mean, like I can think of one off the top of my head. We were checking out this new farm, and it had a Roman road
Oh yeah.
along it, and we like found nothing of ancient history whatsoever. It was all quite, I don't know,
19th
19th,
century.
20th century. So we're like, oh, there's a Roman road here. Like, come on, like, where's the stuff? And then we're like, okay, let's head out. We'd been there for hours,
Hours.
and we were like walking back to the car, and then I just sort of like got this moment where I just thought to myself like, there's got to be something here, and I just stopped and I just like looked around. I think if I was like a Roman right now, like there's quite a good vantage point. Like I can see a bit more like that way, it sort of opened up the area. And then literally where I stood, I got a signal and we found a Roman brooch.
yeah. It's mad.
This is crazy.
That's what I mean. Like it happens a lot. Like I just like have these moments where I just need to like stop,
Yeah.
just take in my surroundings,
Absorb the land.
absorb where I am, like what could be going on here if like back in time, like, yeah, this is a great vantage point. There we go.
Yeah.
There's a find.
So cool.
Yeah,
So cool.
It's kind of like, it is weird.
Gridding won't find you that.
No,
I think you do need to use your intuition.
Yeah.
I think it is very intuitive in that regard.
What's like a misconception about what you do?
Ooh.
Oh,
Well, I suppose the misconception is the stereotype, isn't it, of being all men dressed in camouflage.
Mhm.
There is quite a bit of camo, I will admit. In
Why the
publicity
camo though?
hobby.
Is
I don't know why we're
technical.
hiding from the vines. I'm not sure what we're hiding from. Is it each other?
because the landowner knows you're there, right? You're not doing this like discreet undercover.
no.
I think it just comes like hand
just
in
comes with it.
hand
With hand in hand, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something with like prepping and detectoring. I don't know what it is. It's
I'd say
that world.
the biggest misconception is probably this idea of treasure hunting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is that we're all out here looking for hoards and gold and silver.
To make millions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I
God.
think
It's impossible
You
to make money
don't get
from
into this
detecting.
hobby to
No.
make money.
Yeah.
You'll spend more than you find on the machines.
it's
Literally.
usually the case with a hobby, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Like-
literally.
You'll want something will come out and you'll be like, oh, I want the latest machine.
Oh,
You'll be like,
okay.
"Oh, all right. Yeah, we'll just spend more money on this hobby.
But yeah, because I think really, well, for us, we're like looking for these
The history.
interesting stories and
Yeah.
history. And yes, it is nice when you can like tick something off your bucket list of things you'd like to find, but it's really not. We never think about monetary
Oh,
value.
you should see
whatsoever.
how excited I get in a field about finding a Roman grot. Literally a coin that's worth nothing.
Right.
They find so many of them in this country that they've got no value
Right.
whatsoever. And like we'll find one and it will be a new type that we've never found before. And to me that'll be better than a gold coin.
Because
I'll be like, oh, it's a new type of Roman coin.
Ellie likes to then like research the hell out of this
Yeah.
coin and try and figure out like exactly who's on it, like what's the reverse type, like she'll like extract like
All this information.
from something that's almost like a smudge. Do you know what I mean?
Like sometimes we'll find a coin and I'll be like, oh my god, that's a Gloria Exorcitivus type, and Lucy will be like, does it have anything on it? Like,
How do you know?
I know that's like that's Ellie's like thing. Like,
just
she
like
loves
recognise
it.
the shapes.
I love the synergy between what you do is perfect. You know, you both bring to the table these unique qualities that just work so well.
Yeah,
I think we're very lucky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like we kind of like enjoy doing the stuff that each other doesn't like doing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Like
Yeah.
Lucy hates having dusty hands. So like when like mud dries on her hands, it's quite
Yes.
sensitive for her. But I don't care.
You need each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
These are
like literally, I
ultimate
don't think we could do the
partnership.
hobby without each other.
No.
All right, I've got to ask you, what are you hoping to find? What would be your biggest find? What's on the list?
There's loads on our list.
Is there?
Oh, there's always every metal detector's got hundreds on their list.
Right.
We've been lucky to tick a few off recently.
Oh, okay.
But I'd say for me personally, it's a Roman hoard.
Okay.
I'd just love to find a Roman hoard. The Roman found hoard, you know, it's got to be out there somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've
What
been
about
quite
for
fascinated
me?
about finding a medieval posy ring recently.
Oh yeah, that's my thing at the moment. Like it's evaded us so far. So just like a nice gold posy ring. Because
Okay.
we don't find a lot of jewelry. So I think that's kind of like I'd like to find like a nice ring.
Right.
Lucy's fashion background there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
creeping in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think you guys are amazing. I think what you do is incredible. I think you'll be inspiring the next generation, which is cool because you're bringing you're bringing history back in terms of your stories and how you're sharing them.
Are we making it cool?
You're making it cool. You are making it cool. I am now going to go home and be like, let's get that metal detector. Let's get in
do
that. I'm
it.
used to being in the field, so I should just put
I
up
mean,
with that.
It's such a great hobby as well for just like mental health. Too.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
Outside with
being
one.
outside, like it's very like meditative, I think. And I think that's something that a lot of people find in the hobby is like it's just that is almost as rewarding as
It's an outlet.
yeah.
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 I mean, sometimes when we don't even find anything, we're like, oh, we've had like such a nice day out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the adventure of being out. And anything can happen in the countryside, like all
Oh,
sorts
God.
of stuff. So even that is sort of like fun to share with people, even if we don't find
Yeah.
Yeah.
anything interesting.
And where can people find you?
Oh, everywhere. You name a platform, I think we're on it.
Yeah. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Substack.
Everything.
that's a fair few platforms.
I'll put the links down in the description, and I'm sure there'll be lots of questions from my followers. But thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Oh,
I really
thanks
do
for having us.
appreciate it, and you guys have definitely dared and won, and there's lots more winning to be had on the treasure front.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Let's hope that Roman hoard appears.
I'm down for it.